The stars above Mars looked peaceful that night, glowing softly beyond the dust storms. From the command tower of Mars Defense Base, Captain Leon watched the skies in silence. He had seen countless battles in his life, but peace, real peace, was something rare. The Galactic Council had promised that peace at last. After years of war, after blood spilled across thousands of worlds, every species had agreed to an alliance. The Council called it the Era of Unity. But even as the banners of peace waved across colonies, Leon felt something was wrong. The Council's messages sounded too perfect, too polished. It was as if they were reading from a script. He had learned in war that when enemies spoke of friendship too often, they were usually hiding something sharp behind their smiles. A faint hum broke his thoughts. The hollow screen on his console flickered, then a red line of text appeared, encrypted transmission intercepted, origin, Galactic Council network. Leon frowned. No one on Mars had the clearance to receive messages from that level. He opened it, expecting some routine report, but what came next froze him. The message was short, broken, filled with digital noise, yet the words that appeared made his chest tighten. Council Directive 401B, initiate silent division of Earth territories. Human colonies to be redistributed among allied powers. Eliminate resistance quietly. Label operation as peace enforcement. Leon read it 3 times, his hands shaking slightly. It was not a mistake. The Council had lied. They were planning to destroy Earth's defenses, to take over human colonies under the name of peace. Every handshake, every speech, every promise, it was all a trap. He called his second officer, Mira, a calm woman with sharp eyes. When she saw the message, her face turned pale. This means war, she whispered. Leon nodded slowly. It means we have been betrayed. For years, humanity had trusted the Council. They had joined their systems, shared their science, and even gave them access to Earth's orbital codes. The Council had studied humans closely, pretending to be allies, while building fleets near the Sol system. That same night, Leon sent the message to Admiral Reyes on Lunar Command. He knew it was a risk. The Council had spies everywhere. But Earth needed to know the truth before it was too late. Reyes read the report in silence. Then he replied with a single sentence, "Begin silent mobilization. Trust no one." Across the Sol system, hidden communications began to flow between human fleets. Old shipyards under Jupiter's moons lit up again, their systems humming after years of silence. Deep under Earth's oceans, drone factories reactivated. Humanity did not shout their anger to the stars. They whispered it in steel and fire. The Council, unaware that their secret was exposed, continued their grand speeches about unity. They sent smiling envoys to Earth's capital, shaking hands and making hollow promises. Together, we will end all conflict, they said. But their ships were already moving, slowly gathering near Neptune's orbit. They called it a training exercise. Leon monitored the movements every hour. He could see the fleet forming in the dark. Hundreds of ships, more than needed for practice. He shared the data with Reyes, and soon the truth spread through every Terran command post. Humanity had been stabbed in the back, and this time there would be no forgiveness. When the Council made the next announcement, it was almost a mockery. Their leader, Chancellor Vera, appeared on every galactic channel. Her silver eyes looked kind, her voice soft. "Brothers and sisters of the galaxy," she said, "we enter a new dawn. To secure lasting peace, the Council will oversee the disarmament of all major worlds, including Earth. Together, we shall live without fear." Billions cheered across alien worlds. But on Earth, no one smiled. Every human leader in the room knew what those words meant. They wanted us defenseless. In a bunker beneath Geneva, the Terran High Command gathered. The air was heavy, the silence deep. Admiral Reyes stood before the Council of Generals. His face was calm, but his voice cut like a blade. "They think we will bow," he said. "They think humanity will obey, but they have forgotten who we are." One of the younger officers leaned forward. "If we strike first, sir, we risk being called the aggressor." Reyes looked at him. "History will call us many things," he said, "but it will not call us extinct." Far from Earth, in the dark beyond Mars, Leon watched the first human battleships drift into position. They carried no lights, no signals, only silence. Each ship bore a symbol on its hull. The Terran Eagle, wings spread wide, its claws gripping a burning star. Leon's voice came through the comms. "Maintain shadow formation. Await command," he turned to Mira. "Do you believe we can win this?" Mira stared out at the stars. "We do not have to win, Captain," she said. "We only have to remind them who they lied to." As the night deepened, the stars around Neptune grew brighter. The Council ships continued their drills, unaware that humanity's fleets were already waiting. In the quiet of his cabin, Leon replayed the intercepted message one last time. He saved it in the core logs of the Mars Defense Network, proof that history would one day read and remember. Outside, Mars rotated slowly, red and cold. But somewhere in its frozen soil, the heartbeat of humanity was rising again. The lie that shook Earth had done more than betray it. It had awakened it, and in the blackness between worlds, humanity prepared its answer, not with words, but with fire. The sun rose over Earth's horizon, golden light washing across the blue curve of the planet. To most of the galaxy it looked peaceful, small, distant, harmless. But deep beneath the clouds, in hidden command bunkers and secret hangars, humanity was already awake. The truth had spread quietly from one fleet to another. The Galactic Council's betrayal was no longer a rumor. It was a fact carved into every soldier's mind. Admiral Reyes stood before a massive display in Lunar Command. Around him, officers from every Terran colony watched in silence. Dozens of Council fleets were now stationed around Neptune's orbit, supposedly training, but everyone in that room knew what the drills meant. The Council was gathering its power for a sudden strike. Reyes leaned forward, his voice calm but cold. "They think we are weak because we value peace. They think we will wait until they fire first. But humans have never needed permission to survive." Across Mars, the old shipyards thundered to life. Factories long thought abandoned came alive again, powered by fusion cores buried beneath the planet's crust. From the frozen mountains of Europa to the deep tunnels of Titan, engineers worked without sleep. Old Terran war machines, relics from the first expansion wars, were pulled from storage and restored. Massive railguns were mounted on orbital platforms, each capable of piercing a dreadnought from 1,000 kilometers away. The Council still had no idea. Their ambassadors continued sending cheerful broadcasts filled with empty promises. "Earth is our partner," they said. "Humanity has nothing to fear." But humanity was not listening anymore. On Mars, Captain Leon walked along the hangar floor as technicians loaded ammunition into strike vessels. The ships gleamed under harsh lights, sleek, armored, silent. He looked at Mira, his second officer, who had not slept in 2 days. "They are still pretending to be our friends," she said bitterly. Leon nodded. "Let them pretend. It will make their shock even greater." That evening, the Terran Defense Network activated. Satellites aligned into formation, laser grids powered up, and encrypted orders spread through the fleet. Every soldier, pilot, and AI knew what was coming. Humanity was not waiting to be attacked. At midnight, the order came. A simple message from Admiral Reyes. Operation Dawnfire Initiate. The stars came alive. From behind Jupiter's shadow, an armada emerged. Hundreds of Terran warships, their engines glowing cold blue. The formation moved silently, using the planet's magnetic field to hide their signal traces. Each ship carried rail cannons, EMP torpedoes, and plasma cores. Humanity had built these weapons not for conquest, but for survival. Tonight, survival meant war. As the Terran Armada approached Neptune, the Galactic Council fleet began to detect movement. Their sensors flickered. Warnings flashed across their command decks. "Unidentified signatures approaching at high velocity," one alien officer shouted. "Probably debris," said another, trying to remain calm. But when the first Terran cruiser broke through the shadow, their calm turned to fear. The human flagship Horizon appeared at the front of the fleet. Its hull was blackened from countless battles, its design built purely for function, not beauty. On its bridge, Admiral Reyes stood like a statue. "Fire control ready," reported the gunnery officer. Reyes gave a single nod. For Earth. The sky tore open. A railgun slug traveling at 10 kilometers per second ripped through the void and smashed into a Council dreadnought. The explosion burned white against the darkness, the shockwave scattering debris in all directions. For a moment, even the stars seemed to dim. The Council's fleet panicked. Ships tried to form defense lines, but their systems were jammed. Human AIs had already infiltrated their communication networks, sending false orders and turning friend against friend. In minutes, chaos spread across their formation. From Mars to Pluto, every human outpost watched the battle unfold in real time. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw what humans could do when betrayed. Leon's squadron launched next, diving into the enemy formation like streaks of light. Plasma fire cut across the darkness, illuminating wreckage and drifting bodies. "Target the command ships," Leon ordered. "End their chain of command." One Council cruiser turned its guns toward him, but before it could fire, a Terran interceptor rammed it head-on, detonating its reactor. "Status?" Mira called out. Leon's eyes stayed on the radar. 3 ships lost. 22 confirmed kills. He paused, then added quietly, "They did not expect us to fight back." Back on Earth, people gathered in cities, watching silent feeds from the battlefield. No one spoke. They saw explosions bloom in the cold dark of space, each one marking another lie answered. Admiral Reyes' voice came through every Terran channel. "This is not vengeance. This is correction. They thought peace was weakness. No, they will learn its price." The battle lasted for hours. When the Council finally tried to retreat, they found their exit blocked. Humanity had used the moons of Neptune as cover for magnetic mines. Every ship that tried to flee exploded into dust. By dawn, the Council's fleet was gone. Thousands of their ships turned into drifting wreckage, burning softly against the backdrop of stars. Humanity had lost ships, yes, but the cost was worth it. As silence returned to the void, Captain Leon floated above the ruins, his ship's lights dim. Mira stood beside him, eyes wide. "It's over," she whispered. Leon shook his head. "No, this is only the beginning. The Council will not forgive this." He looked out at the remains of their fleet. "And we will not forget their lie." Far away in the heart of the galaxy, the surviving Council leaders gathered. Their faces were pale, their voices low. None of them had expected this. Humanity had not begged. Humanity had struck back with precision, with power, and with no warning. The galaxy trembled. Every empire, every ruler, every world that had once mocked humanity now watched the silent blue planet with fear. For the first time in history, they understood the truth. Earth might forgive betrayal once, but never twice. The ruins of Neptune still burned when the first wave of transmissions echoed across the void. Distress signals from shattered Council fleets filled every communication channel. Ships cried for reinforcements that would never come. The humans had cut their supply lines, silenced their command centers, and turned the Council's strongest armada into drifting ghosts. But humanity did not stop. Across the solar system, the Terran Accord had already begun its next phase. Every factory on Earth, Mars, and the moons of Jupiter now ran without pause. AI cores designed for peaceful research were repurposed to coordinate war logistics. Drones replaced sleeping workers. Metal flowed like rivers through orbital stations, building new warships faster than any species had ever imagined possible. The galaxy had mocked Earth for its speed, for its endless hunger to create. Now that same hunger became their greatest weapon. Admiral Reyes watched from the bridge of the horizon as holographic stars blinked across the command map. Each blue spark represented a Terran ship. Each red one marked a Council stronghold. "We move beyond the Sol system," he said. "They lied to the heart of humanity. Now humanity will reach theirs." Captain Leon and Mira stood among the strike commanders. Their fleet had suffered heavy losses, yet their resolve burned brighter than before. "The Council thought we would hide behind our sun," Leon said. "Let's show them we can reach theirs." The next campaign began with silence. No warnings, No declarations. Humanity advanced like a storm of shadows. The first strike fell upon the Varn system, home to one of the Council's key shipyards. When the human fleet arrived, the aliens barely had time to activate their defenses. Terran's stealth ships disabled orbital sensors before the enemy even realized they were under attack. Then the sky erupted. Mass drivers hurled kinetic shells at unimaginable speed, tearing through planetary shields. From orbit, Earth's dreadnoughts launched precision dropships into the upper atmosphere, delivering tactical units that struck the shipyards directly. The explosions turned night into day. In less than an hour, the system's defense network collapsed. The Council had believed its technology was unmatched, yet human engineers had learned how to break it faster than they ever could. When the battle was over, Reyes transmitted a single message to all surviving Council systems. Your peace was built on lies. Humanity builds truth with fire. Across the galaxy, that message played on every frequency. For many, it was the first time they heard the human voice not begging, not pleading, but commanding. News spread faster than light. Worlds under the Council's control began to question their leaders. Races once loyal to the Council started defecting, offering information to humanity in exchange for protection. They had all feared Earth. Now they saw Earth as the only power capable of justice. The Council tried to respond. They gathered what fleets they had left and fortified the core worlds. They called it Operation Dawn's Edge, a desperate plan to push humanity back before their reach grew too large. But the Terran fleet was already there. Using wormhole gates the Council themselves had once banned humanity from, the Terran ships appeared inside the Council's protected space. Entire planets looked up to see human warships blot out the stars above them. The Council's command world, Kalis Prime, once shone with towering crystal spires and gold-lit towers. On that day its sky turned black. Captain Leon led the vanguard. His ship, the Resolute, carried a single purpose: to deliver the message of Earth's wrath. "Target their communications hub," Leon ordered. Mira's fingers danced across the console. Coordinates locked. Fire. The plasma lance struck the hub, and within seconds the Council's control network fractured. Fleets lost contact with each other. Panic spread. Some tried to surrender. Others fled into hyperspace, but it was too late. Reyes stood on the bridge of the horizon, eyes fixed on the live feed from Kalis Prime. "They thought their words could chain us," he said quietly. "They forgot words mean nothing to a species that learned to survive the void." The bombardment began, not to destroy the planet, but to erase the Council's war infrastructure completely. Each strike was precise, sparing civilians, targeting only the corrupt centers that had engineered the lie. Humanity fought not with hatred, but with purpose. In the streets of Kalis Prime, alien citizens watched the Council's palaces crumble while Terran dropships landed to deliver food, medicine, and aid. It was a strange kind of war, one fought with both vengeance and mercy. When the last Council warship fell, the galaxy went quiet again. For the first time, there were no lies broadcast from the Council's grand chambers. No speeches of peace hiding plans of control. Only silence. The surviving members of the Council tried to flee to the outer systems, but their ships were intercepted. Leon personally oversaw the final operation. He entered the main chamber of the Council refuge, his armor scorched, his eyes steady. The alien leaders stared at him, trembling. One of them whispered, "You cannot destroy the Council. You will only create another war." Leon stepped forward and spoke softly, but his voice filled the hall. "The Council destroyed itself the moment it chose deceit over honor. We are not conquerors, we are the consequence." The chamber fell silent. The Council's banner was lowered, replaced by the mark of the Terran Accord, a silver earth encircled by a ring of stars. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The fire that began on Earth has reached the stars. Humanity has risen not to rule, but to remember, and so it was remembered. Every species who once thought humans were fragile learned a new truth, that fragility is only the surface of steel. The galaxy changed that day, not through fear alone, but through respect. As Captain Leon stood under the burned sky of Kalis Prime, he whispered to Mira, "They lied to control us. We answered to remind them who we are," she smiled faintly. "And what are we, Captain?" Leon looked up at the stars, glowing dimly through the smoke. "Human," he said, "and that will always be enough." The stars looked different now. Once they were distant lights scattered across black infinity. Now they carried the reflection of fire, human fire. The galaxy had gone silent after Kalis Prime fell. No more council decrees, no more broadcasts filled with hollow promises. Only quiet transmission logs carrying the same message from world to world. The council has fallen. Earth has spoken, but victory did not bring celebration. It brought silence, a heavy silence filled with memory, loss, and the weight of what humanity had done. Captain Leon stood on the bridge of the Resolute, orbiting the remains of the Council's capital world. The air was thin, tense. Below, the planet's surface still burned faintly, the scars of orbital strikes glowing like veins of molten gold. He watched in silence as recovery ships moved across the debris field, gathering survivors, both human and alien. Mira walked up beside him, her voice quiet. "The last council ministers have surrendered," she said. "Admiral Reyes ordered their transfer to the Accord Tribunal. No executions. He wants them tried publicly." Leon's gaze did not shift. "Justice, not vengeance," he murmured. "He is right. For centuries, the Council had treated Earth as a lesser world, a planet of emotional primitives who fought too fiercely, who dreamed too loudly. Now those same primitives had dismantled an empire built over thousands of years. Yet even in triumph, humanity refused to become what the Council had been. Down on the surface, cities once ruled by arrogance now echoed with human aid ships. Soldiers who had fought days ago now handed out food and helped rebuild hospitals. Medical units carried the injured of all species, treating them side by side. A reporter from one of the liberated colonies transmitted live from the ground. "Humans arrived as destroyers," she said, her voice trembling, "but they rebuild faster than any fleet could destroy. The galaxy feared their anger, but now it sees their mercy." In the orbital command center above, Admiral Reyes received a dozen transmissions from across the systems. Each one was different. Some were thanks, others fear. But they all ended with the same words. "We recognize the Terran Accord." The galaxy was shifting. For the first time in history, there was no council, no empire forcing species into obedience. There was only humanity, a reluctant guardian born from betrayal. Reyes knew the burden they carried. He gathered his command staff aboard the horizon and addressed them through the intercom that reached every fleet. His voice was firm but tired. "War was not our goal. We were forced into it. The Council's deceit demanded an answer, and we gave it. But now our task changes. We will not rule as they did. We will protect those who cannot defend themselves. The galaxy must never again bow to lies." His words were simple, but they carried across light years. Entire planets stopped to listen. Even species that once feared humans began to lower their weapons. On Mars, schoolchildren drew pictures of Terran ships flying beside alien ones. On Earth, cities lit their skies with beacons that spelled out a single word in 100 languages: unity. But beneath that hope, Leon still felt the shadow of something deeper. Humanity had proven its power, but what would it become now? A guardian, or a conqueror disguised as one? Later that night, Leon visited the Memorial Bay. The walls were lined with holographic names, soldiers who had died since the Council's betrayal. Among them was Mira's brother, lost in the first counterattack near Neptune. She stood silently beside the projection, her eyes reflecting the faint blue light. "He wanted peace," she whispered. Leon nodded. "So did we all." She turned to him. "Do you think this will ever end? The fighting, the fear?" He hesitated before replying. "Not in our lifetime, but maybe in theirs," he said, nodding toward the young recruits training on the lower decks. "If we keep our promise." Beyond the windows, the galaxy shimmered, vast, broken and waiting. Weeks later, the trials began. The surviving council leaders faced judgment on the restored orbital station, once called Elysium Prime. Representatives from every known race attended. Cameras broadcast the event to billions. Admiral Reyes himself stood before the tribunal. He did not wear medals, only the plain black uniform of the Terran fleet. When the first accused, Chancellor Vera, the woman whose voice had once promised unity, was brought in, the entire hall fell silent. She looked old now, her silver eyes dim, her pride gone. She tried to speak, but her voice trembled. "We wanted order," she said weakly. "You humans brought chaos." Reyes looked at her, calm and unflinching. "Order built on deceit is not peace," he said. "And chaos born from truth is not evil. You feared humanity because you never understood it. We fight not to dominate, but to remember what freedom costs." The trial lasted 12 days. At its end, the Council's crimes were read aloud. Genocide by manipulation, cultural erasure, enslavement of lesser species. Their punishment was not death, but exile. They were to live on an isolated world, stripped of influence, forced to witness the future they once denied others. When the sentence was declared, the chamber stood in silence. Some wept, others bowed. No one cheered. It was not a victory worth celebrating. It was a lesson carved into time. As the galaxy began to rebuild under the Terran Accord, the name Earth no longer meant just a planet. It meant balance. It meant consequence. On the final day of the campaign, Leon stood on the balcony of the new Accord headquarters. The horizon of Kalis Prime glowed red and gold as the sun rose over a reborn city. Mira joined him, her uniform streaked with dust. "It's strange," she said softly. "After all this, the galaxy still spins. Life still goes on." Leon smiled faintly. "It always does. The question is, will it remember?" She looked at him, puzzled. "Remember what?" He turned his eyes to the light breaking over the horizon. "That peace is not a gift," he said. "It's a promise, and promises must be kept." High above them, Terran ships drifted silently, guardians of a galaxy that had once doubted them. The fire that once destroyed now warmed. The steel that once killed now protected, and somewhere between the stars, history whispered a warning that would never fade. Deceive humanity once, and the stars will remember forever.